Blog Talk.
If I were the Prince of Darkness, I'd want to engulf the whole world in darkness, and I'd have a third of its real estate and 4/5 of its population, but I wouldn't be happy until I had seized the ripest apple on the tree. So I'd set about, however necessary, to take over the United States. I'd subvert the churches first. I'd begin with a campaign of whispers. With the wisdom of a serpent, I would whisper to you as I whispered to Eve, do as you please. To the young, I would whisper that the Bible is a myth. I would convince them that man created God instead of the other way around. I would confide that what's bad is good and what's good is square. And the old I would teach to pray after me, Our Father, which art in Washington. And then I'd get organized.
And God has presented his salvation by way of his son Jesus. And it ain't my fault that they rejected him. It ain't my fault they choose the world. It ain't my fault they choose wickedness. It ain't my fault they worship Satan. It ain't my fault they worship man. And God has presented his salvation by way of his son Jesus.
Well, good afternoon. I see that One Blue Raven is simulcasting. Thank you so much, One Blue Raven. I won't call you by your other name unless you want me to. Yeah, well, thanks, Outlaw. I believe that's you. That's what Cindy said. Yeah, I believe I'm correct here. I believe I am correct. Yes, Thomas, okay. You can call me Thomas, okay? I'll call you Thomas. Okay, I've got some news I've got to get to for you today. Ava was running a high fever yesterday, y'all. But she's fine today. I'm not feeling hot. I'm going to lay down after this show, so y'all pray for me. I want y'all to know we love y'all all. Y'all be praying for us. We're praying for you. Now, I've got a couple of things I got to get to today here. And that's dealing with sex. Ex-Berks Christian principal arrested in sexual assault. Officials say he acknowledged to others repeated contact with a 17-year-old female student. Yeah, buddy. The former principal of Berks Christian School. The former principal of Berks Christian School was charged on Monday with sexually assaulting a 17-year-old girl who was a student at the private school in Exeter Township. This will be in Pennsylvania. Franklin A. Love, 39, of the first block of Newkirk Avenue, Cumru Township. Of the township now. Says what? Oh, he says nothing for a little bit. And then he acknowledges to others, repeatedly doing this. Repeatedly doing this to a 17-year-old. Anyway, he has been charged by Berks County detectives. Berks County detectives with institutional sexual assault, endangering the welfare of children, and corrupting minors. Now, he was arraigned before District Judge Phyllis J. Kowalski and waived a preliminary hearing. He remained free, awaiting further court action. How about that? How about that, huh? Let's read on. Love's attorney, Jay Nigrini of Reading, said he had no comment after the arraignment. Well, I wonder how many more people he's going to do it to between now and the time that the so-called judicial part of it begins. But authorities say, authorities say that Love had sexual contact with the girl from November through April. He was caught sending inappropriate text messages to her while she was in school. You can only imagine A classmate saw the text messages and alerted school authorities, who in turn alerted the police. Oh yeah. The case was investigated by County Detective Trevor Ritter. He said Love and the girl had wait a minute now, let me read this right. He said Love and the girl said the sexual assaults occurred numerous times beginning shortly after she turned 17. Investigators did not release her name. Most of the assaults took place at the girl's house after the mother had fallen asleep. You gotta be, this don't even make sense. Most of the assaults took place at the girl's house after the mother had fallen asleep, investigators said. Shortly after the encounters came to light in mid-April, Love confessed to church officials and a close friend, authorities said. I don't sleep that sound neither, Cindy. No way. And I ain't going to sleep with somebody over at my house anyway. That guy, I don't know what's going on with this guy. I mean, what's going on with the mama, you know? But executive pastor Joel Hughes of Exeter Bible Church, which operates the school at 926 Philadelphia Avenue, said Love resigned a short time later. Resigned a short time later. Hughes said the church and school were cooperating with authorities. Now, according to their statement, the safety of the children in our school is paramount, he said. In an investigation with authorities involving students, we are fully cooperative. Now, I gotta wonder. I really gotta wonder. How many principals out there are like this perverted person? I mean, seriously, how many of them are like that? Seducing and you know, just trying to ruin the lives of their own students. Gotta tell you. I'm going to make a statement here. It does not matter if it's got a Christian label on it or not. As a school, you see what can take place. You understand? You see what I'm saying? Hughes said parents and students were informed of the matter last month when officials learned of it. Now, District Attorney John T. Adams said the case marks the first time a new state law outlining institutional sexual assault has been used in Berks. So this institutional sexual assault must be that the school being an institution, it must have took place at school also, not only at home. It did say at the home of the girl, it did say a bunch took place after the mom went to sleep, which that just don't make any sense. The law went into effect in January, and it prohibits school employees from engaging in sexual affairs with students in secondary schools. Well, ain't that something? Got to have a stinking law to warn them to keep their hands off the students. Yeah, buddy. Goes on, it says, we are going to do everything to protect our children, our students, who because of their age are vulnerable to people who work with them at secondary school, Adams said. It's just inappropriate for teachers or administrators or other school employees to be having sexual relationship with students in our secondary schools. Now, I don't know why this is here, but it says, yeah, good point, Cindy. Waited till she was 17 and they probably cannot charge for rape. Yep. Or then again, he could have been doing it at 16, but publicly confessed it after she got 17. Who knows? But it says here, if y'all wish to contact Jason A. Cole, you can do so at 610-371-5024 or JKAHL at readingeagle.com, obviously the reporter. So if anybody would care to contact Jason, I may give him a ring myself first of the week, see how this thing's heading up. But I have another article here that I must read to you. This one comes from My Fox in Orlando. Ready for this one? Former teacher accused of sex with student. And by the way, this is only two. This is only two of many. Only two of many cases happening across this nation. Now this one is comes out of Kissimmee, Florida. Kissimmee police said they have arrested a former Osceola high school teacher for allegedly having sex with her student in school, Casey Christine Wilson. Now we see it's a woman doing it. 28 faces charges of unlawful sexual activity with certain minors and transmission of pornography by an electronic device. Holy smokes, here we go again. I think I'll take a drink of water before I start reading this one any further. Sexual activity with certain minors and transmission of pornography by electrical device. You know, I got to stop and ask myself here a question. Does really anyone nowadays, whether they be teachers or whatever public official or private person they may be, do they really care that the word says thou shalt not commit adultery? I mean, I don't think they do. I really don't think they care at all. That's the question I got to ask myself before we go any further here. You had this guy, Pennsylvania, now that you got this gal in Florida. Do they even care? Do they even care what it means to be a whore or a harlot? I mean, do they care? But anyway, I got to move on. In October 2011, investigators were made aware of possible sexual relationship between Wilson and a student. She was having sex with one of the students when she was working, said Stacy Miller of the Kissimmee Police Department. Investigators said a 16-year-old boy was excused from class because Wilson called his teacher and said he had left something in her classroom. When he arrived, police said she gently pushed him against the wall and touched him, and then led him to a closet, took his clothes off and had sex with him. Right there in the school, man. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, what has this nation become? What has this nation become? Left something at school, went back to get it, gently pushes. Notice how gently pushes him. I guess, you know, I see a picture of her right here, and she looks like a fairly small lady, but, you know, she gently pushed him against the wall. I'll tell you what she did. She seduced him, is what she did. A Jezebel in action. It says she definitely took advantage of this child, said Miller. Well, I got to tell you something, people. I got to tell you right now, this is only scratching the surface of what is going on over and over and over and over. And somebody mentioned about the TSA. I think it was One Blue Raven. Yeah, they remind me of, you know, of the same. These teachers remind me of, and principals remind me of the TSA agents. You know, just being able to grope and fill up and do anything they want to people and think they can get away with it. She obviously thought that she could get away with this, you see. But anyway, she took advantage of this child, said Miller. According to the report, the victim was ashamed of his actions and had been a virgin. He stated it's bad that when I grow up and think about my first time, I have to think about Miss Wilson. Well, if I were this young gentleman, I would ask the help of the Creator to take this out of my mind and block it out of my mind, is what I would do. Now, he will probably, unless he does trust in the Creator, he will probably look at the majority of female teachers and women in general, because he was ashamed of this and what happened. He would probably look at them and consider them to be nothing but just old whores. Unless he gets some help from the Creator. He needs it. He needs to turn to the Creator. Oh, we got some sick stuff going on. The investigation began last year after the school's principal received an anonymous letter from a parent indicating that Wilson might have had sexual contact with a few of her students. With a few. We had opened the case last year, but Miss Wilson moved and relocated herself before we could get everything done. Investigators said that on April 20, the victim disclosed school officials that he had had a relationship with Miss Wilson.